Hello, Financial Algebra All-Stars. We're taking a look at the box and whisker activity, a little project. Hope you don't mind. It's okay. It's not going to take too much of your time. You might actually even see something that really interests you, something that you're comparing that maybe you've thought of for a while. Now's your chance to explore that. Students are going to be designing a study in which you're collecting and comparing at least two univariate data sets. So two things that kind of seem similar, but maybe battle each other. Maybe you're curious if, let's see, if sophomores spend more time on their phone versus seniors. Maybe you're trying to compare something like that. So things that don't necessarily correlate with each other, but are in the same kind of category, kind of like a competition. Similar to if we were going to buy one car at a certain price or buy another car at a certain price. Finding the average and, of course, Q1, Q3, everything like that. So students will be able to collect and compare these data sets that you're going to be creating. You're going to come up with this topic. You're going to think it out. You're going to come up with something. You're going to bring it to us. So I can give you feedback as well. You'll calculate measures of central tendency and dispersion. So where the average is, where that middle 50% seems to be in the box. You'll construct a box and whisker plot. You can most likely do this on paper or on your calculator. We saw that in the Edpuzzle that you can do that, or you can just, take care of it on pencil and paper. You're designing questions to compare, contrast, and analyze these box and whisker plots. And we might present these. I haven't decided yet, but we'll see. But you're definitely going to have it be organized and communicate answers and conclusions. So you're coming in with some questions. The example I posed was, who spends more time on their phones, freshmen or seniors? So that might be one question that you go with. You talk to some freshmen, you ask them, how much time do you spend on average for the week? You ask some seniors, some freshmen, get some data, go from there. And I'll talk you through the rest of this. In my eyes, this may take 3 class periods, which is okay. I might cut some things as we move forward, so be on the lookout for that. There is an evaluation criteria. There's the option to assess yourself to make sure that you're doing everything correctly. We'll talk about that in a bit. And then there's also my assessment, how you'll be graded on this. So that's those are 2 ways that you can evaluate to make sure that you're doing everything right, giving me what I need. And of course, there's an example here to guide you through what's going on. So that should help. Of course, the example that I have is at the end of this document, which you can find on Blackboard. Here's a bunch of standard stuff you don't really need, but you're using your laptop and maybe some text messages, some messages to people to get some data to research and begin designing an analysis on some data that you're curious about. Students will use class notes to check the definitions of the minimum, first quartile, median, third quartile, maximum, and verify the methodology for identifying outliers, which pretty much, if it's away from the box and the whisker, it's an outlier. Let's run with that. Okay, that should make your life easier. Calculator will assist to help you, but you can also use some resources that are online. I'm okay with that. And then, of course, making sure all of your objectives are met and you're working continuously towards this due date and time. What else do we got? So maybe it'll just, all of this information is here to kind of give you an idea of how you should be spending your time, of getting data, thinking about your mission, the objective that you're trying to clarify. We've been talking about car prices, so maybe you want to compare the price of a car with, 6 different ways that you could purchase. Maybe think out, and this is just tying it back into what we're talking about. Maybe you could think the price for buying a car in person versus price for buying a car online. 2 different ways that you can get a car nowadays. Maybe that's something to consider. But these blocks are here to give you an idea of how you should be making the most of your time. Of course, I'm here to help you along the way. What else do I need to tell you? Of course, touch base when you're stuck, communicate what you're thinking, touch base if there's something that you're not too sure about. You'll be doing this individually, so I expect that we're still working on this as a team, but I'm getting individual pieces from everybody on this. So I hope that makes sense. Of course, you're going to be completing one bit of data to show that you've met all the objectives, that you've actually created data on this, whether you got it from, I don't know, an online resource or you touched base with people. That's something that you need to definitely do. Again, I'm using the same rubric to assess your projects. And of course, I'm a fan of creativity. So if you think of something really awesome, I can reward you for that with a little bit more credit. In addition, have some thought-provoking questions and exemplary participation in answering other groups' questions. If we do decide to present this, that'll be more intertwined of giving questions for other students and how they came up with their data. That's something that might come up. However, so this takes us to what I think is a pretty good movement of what are you researching? What are you designing? You're going to tell me about it, and I'll, just have that on hand so I can touch base and say, hey, how's your project going? You'll collect a little bit of data here. And I actually have this all as a Google Doc, which I think is going to make your life a lot easier. Eventually, in the next class, you'll start to make the box and whisker plot and talk about some of the important bits, Q3, median, minimum, all that good stuff. You'll create some questions down the road, and maybe you don't answer them just yet. Maybe you have to look at your data collectively and see what's going on with it. So I know the example I gave was the price. Well, maybe the overarching question is, which is better and more affordable? Buying a car in person or online? So maybe one question that you'll consider asking and hopefully answer is, where can you buy cars online? Where can you do it? Another question you might ask is, where can you buy cars in person? Kind of silly, but you want to get some good data, see where you're getting your numbers from. And I think this is a pretty simple question to answer. Which is more cost efficient? The data is probably going to answer that question for you. Maybe think, which is more convenient? This might not necessarily stem from the data, but maybe in your personal experience, which interface was easier? Was it easier to check a website that has an in-person location? Or was it easier to just search and maybe do Carvana and say, all right, this was a bit easier because I like the app a little bit better. I don't have to talk to anybody. You have some options there. You'll reflect on this if we decide to present, and you have this self-assessment here just to make sure that you're doing everything okay. And again, I assess you the same way that you would. Some other elements are here if we decide to talk about specific categories, but pretty much I'm going to be looking for all of these things, which in my eyes, if you start at the top, work your way down, you'll be doing just fine. I hope that this video was helpful to get started. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching.